I'm Gorish. I'm the CEO of Sybill. I want to show you why customers are breaking contracts to switch to Sybill at higher prices. The short version of it is Sybill is building an intelligence layer. We call it the context infrastructure between your raw data that is on the capture side and your agent and human actions. At a high level, this is how that intelligence layer looks like. So we focus on having three context graphs. So one is your customer context, second is your team context, and third is your company process context. Now, each of these graphs is continuously learning from every interaction that is happening with or about the customer, all the activity that users are taking on the platform, as well as any outcome that has been delivered across a sales job. So let me show you what it actually looks like in reality. This is a visualization of the customer entity graph. I'm going to pull up a specific deal just to walk you through what that looks like. This is a deal which Sybill is building its own context on. Now, for each individual member of the deal, Sybill has context on who that individual is and what they're doing. So I'm going to pull out, for example, Brandon. So Brandon is the co-founder and CEO. This information we get from public sources like LinkedIn. What Sybill is automatically creating and updating in real time from internal context, from internal meetings, in-person meetings, as well as meetings directly with Brandon, is this information. Regularly engages with us on multiple calls, email threads to provide Sybill at Memo, senior security exec. This context is created for every individual. So this is another example where Catalan owns onboarding or config, API integration. So when the system is asking a question about Catalan or about demo, this context goes along with that information. So the AI is able to respond in a much more nuanced, sophisticated manner because it knows not only Catalan's title, but exactly how she's involved. This kind of information is built across every entity node in your entire sales ecosystem. So that would go from your leads, company, the opportunity, the reps who are involved to verticals, competitive mentions, product lines, packaging. So the AI already has every single context when it's trying to build a response or it's trying to answer a query on top of that. This isn't literally that query time. This information is continuously built up and it compounds over a period of time. And after 6 months, what Sybill knows about this organization is more than any single transcript search can surface. And this is the big difference between just searching your data and understanding the business itself. So now I'm going to take you to another aspect where this shows. This is the same question asked two different ways. I'm asking Claude to give me the state of the pipeline this week. And I told it not to use the Ask Sybill MCP, which is our context layer. And on the right side, I'm giving it the permission to use the Ask Sybill MCP. Now, when we ask the state of the pipeline with just the CRM and the call MCP, etc., then it goes through the entire journey. It figures out there are two pipelines and there are open deals in each of the pipeline, figures out the stage funnel, which is from CRM. And then it says, what are the top 10 open deals? So it figures out these deals which are open, but in reality, because this is my data, I know that these deals are not live for us. They have been silent for a long time. And so even the first action here is just horse close hygiene on the big three. So it's not able to understand what exactly is my realistic pipeline looking like. Whereas over on the right side, if I ask Claude to use Ask Sybill, that has the context. This is the output I get, where it tells me specifically the deal is in proposal. These are the POC and trial deals. And here is what is in discovery. It does pick up the fact that these three deals exist, but that is much more of a cleaner deal or active re-engagement because it knows that there have been no activities with these deals. Whereas the deals at risk are much more specific to what activity is actually going on. This is possible because the system understands the pipeline, understands the risk at each of the deal levels. And when it saves actions, it is the cleaning up enterprise pipeline is the last one, not the first one. Very different. I'm asking here another question just to show you a bit more. So now help me prep for my one-to-one with Nikki. Again, I don't want it to use Ask Sybill MCP, but only HubSpot and Call MCP. Now, if we go through the pipeline again, it picks up Nikki's pipeline, the meeting she has, the deal closing. But what it does not do over here, when it talks about the agenda, the information in each of the agenda is very, very generic, structured questions. Can Dan confirm CRM field ship by Tuesday? Now, these are okay questions, but they're not really strategic to the one-to-one agenda. These are questions which could be answered by a single query on the platform. Whereas when Sybill does this same exercise, when it talks about what questions to ask her are, what is actually happening on your biggest two deals? Should we kill the close date or push the activity? Why haven't the VP of sales or CEO being pulled in yet? Whereas over here, it's asking if there is a decision maker on the deal yet. Sybill is saying, why haven't the decision maker been reached? This intelligence feeds into everything downstream. Here is a live dashboard that you can build with a single prompt on Sybill, which is continuously updating across hundreds of deals, pipeline by stage, competitive patterns, rep signals. And that shows like you can go into really deep for each of these deals. These are like rep level forecast, deal level forecast, and I can understand what is the likelihood of this company buying and why they are acting, why us, why now. Information which would not have been possible to pull out with a Claude or a Gong. Another example here is you can create end-to-end decks with Sybill for the reps to send it to the customer. And these are pulling from their conversations with the customers directly. It's also pulling from internal discussions about pricing and value proposal and what are the commercial terms. But it's also pulling in from implementation details. And this comes from a playbook that the team has discussed and shared over previous hundreds of calls over a period of time. So that's the context wrap in action. It's basically an organizational intelligence, which is compounding with the usage, and it powers every single workflow downstream. And you cannot replicate the same by processing transcripts or emails at query time. We have 750 customers growing 12% month on month, and we are winning 80% of the deals against Gong. Happy to go deeper on any of this.